Hello, It All Counts family. Welcome back. Excited to be back in the studio. This is a great day. The sun is shining. But more importantly, we have a phenomenal guest. One I feel like a big sister to me, a family member, one of East St. Louis finest, the finest, I should say, Jackie Joyner-Kersee. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Conzo. How you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal, enjoying this weather down here. I got a sweatshirt on, but I'm feeling good, though. How's the
Oh,
weather back
that's
home?
nice. It's nice on this day. The sun is shining. So wherever the listeners are, I hope the sun is shining down on all of you all as well.
Jackie Joyner-Kersee, for those that don't know, can you give a small background of yourself?
Yes. So Jackie Joyner-Kersee is I. Grew up in East St. Louis, Illinois. Went to East St. Louis Lincoln High School. Graduated from there, went on to UCLA on a basketball scholarship and was team captain of the basketball team. Track and field is my first love. Went on and made my first Olympic team in 1984, and then eventually made three other teams after that, winning a combination of six Olympic medals, three of them gold, a silver, and two bronze in the heptathlon and the long jump. And I still have the world record in the heptathlon today, as well as the Olympic and national record in the long jump. And I also am the founder of the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Foundation and Center.
Jackie, we can stop the show right there. You just shut it down. We can stop that. We can stop the show right there. Now, Jackie, growing up in East St. Louis, did you ever think you'd be one of the greatest, not just women athletes, but the greatest athlete of all times?
That never crossed my mind. All I wanted to do was have fun.
Yes.
Saw the Olympics on television and said, "Oh, if I could get on TV by going to the Olympics." Didn't even know anything about this greatest and all of that. But then once I was in it, I wanted to be one of the best. Now I didn't know what that was going to lead to, but I knew in my heart that if I work hard, compete against the best, I wanted to be the best. But to be in conversations, the greatest and all that, that never crossed my mind.
Wow. Now, how was it East St. Louis, and you ran for Coach Nino Fennar, who's a phenomenal teacher, coach, one of the best track and field coaches in the world, still to this day. How was it playing for him? Because when I used to watch, when we were in high school, watching the teams practice, he was hard on him. He was tough now.
Oh yes, Coach Fennar is no joke. back back when we were coming up, so we had Coach Fennar, who was the track coach, Miss Nilly, who was also an assistant coach, also the volleyball coach, Mr. Riggins, Miss Ash was basketball, Mr. McDonald. But all of them collectively worked together. So if you ran track or you played basketball, you played volleyball, one this, oh, I'm just gonna focus on track. I'm gonna just focus on volleyball. I'm gonna focus on softball. They all was hand to hand working together. But with Mr. Fennar, the great thing about that is with him was that he was my age group coach. So I started running at the age of 9, and Coach Fennar was there. And because when we were in high school, he was the elementary Lily Freeman at the time that was built. Lily Freeman, he was over there, one of their, I guess, gym teachers, and so then he would leave there and then come into the school where, a lot of our coaches weren't in our schools during the school year or during, school time. So we only saw Coach Fennar doing practice. And it was like a no nonsense, So, but he didn't cut any shortcuts. He was hard on us, prepared us beyond the athletic field, put us in position where we had to be good students as well as good athletes.
Now, the time demands, obviously, at different times in today as opposed to when we went. How did you manage the track and field, which that takes a lot of your time as a physical toll, along with the basketball, because you were a talented basketball player?
So when you talk about how do you manage both basketball, track, and I play volleyball, that wasn't even a conversation. It wasn't a conversation that you can only do this sport or that sport. it was always how each sport could complement one another, but then also make you a much better, stronger athlete, but then also stronger mentally and physically. So as young people, we did it. There was nothing that we couldn't do. It was just really trying, how do you balance the time? So softball was going on at the same time as track would go on. So that didn't work out. Great for me. Cross country, didn't like it because that was during the time basketball season. So, but coach then would tell us, well, you might not run cross country. You're going to do fall training. So we would still get our mileage in. And so you were already being prepared to understand that you could do all of these different things and not realizing as you evolve and develop that it strengthens your bodies in different ways because you work in different muscles, but a lot of those different muscles are what you're going to call on because, in sports, for me, the basic is run, jump, and throw. So having that solid foundation, being able to do a combination of those three, I don't care what sport it is, you got to have that combination.
One of the top athletes in the country, and you decide to go to UCLA from East St. Louis. How was that decision, and what kept you at UCLA?
The decision to go to UCLA was that my dad really wanted me to go, but I didn't want my dad to know that I wanted to go because when I was 14, I saw the 76 Olympic Games on television. And at that time, they would put the university. And I remember seeing Evelyn Ashford. And it was like, and she wore her hair in cornrows. And I'm like, wow, maybe I could go there, but not knowing that my parents couldn't afford for me to go there. Didn't know anything about what Title IX really meant and the impact and the difference it was going to make, on my life. And then 2 years later, I see Andy Myers and Anita Ortega play in the AIAW championship at that time against Maryland. And I was like, wow, that must be a great school because Billy Moore, who was the basketball coach, was also the 1976 Olympic coach who coached Annie, also, Pet Summit, late Pet Summit, and all of them on that Olympic team that got that silver medal. And that was the only time that you really saw women doing athletics on television. The Olympics gave you a whole different carré of seeing different women in different sports that you didn't normally see, on television. So I thought, wow. And then fast forward, UCLA came knocking and it was like, wow. I said to myself, I want to be one of the best when it came to, I didn't know if I was going to play basketball or not because I thought I was too short, not realizing with my speed and quickness and my jumping ability, you know how young people at that time, you just think like, oh, you got to be tall, and so they were like, no, we want you to play. And so, and I felt that if I'm going to play, then I'm going to be in my mind, I'm not saying this to the coaches, I'm going to be a starter, because I'm not going to be sitting on the bench when I could be out there getting ready to run track. And what UCLA provided for me was an opportunity during basketball season to focus on basketball. I didn't have to worry about trying to do indoor track or trying to run track. And even though it would put me at a disadvantage because the basketball season would go so long when you're dealing on the collegiate circuit. So I love being there. I love the atmosphere. And it was, challenging in the beginning because I was dealt with losing my mom as a freshman, as well as being diagnosed as an asthmatic. And so I made that decision, made that choice, and it wasn't an option, to either go back and not fulfill what I had committed to do.
And Jackie, how was your preparation? I'll say that because when I left East St. Louis, and I felt like we had phenomenal teachers from the time I was a kid to I left high school. Not only did they teach us, but they were teaching life skills and preparing you for 10, 15 years down the road. But there were some areas I had to grow when I went to college. And also, as you know, East St. Louis is pretty much 100% black. So how was the transition from that standpoint? You stepped on campus or got off the plane in L.A.?
The transition from high school and going out to UCLA, I was just so infatuated with, this going to be this beautiful weather. The sun is shining. And my first week it rained all week. I was like, oh my gosh. But I think what really prepared me was being a part of AAU teams.
Yes.
Being able to travel, to the different little cities and different states where you saw people from all walks of life. And that's the great thing about what sports could do for you. It exposed you to cultures you don't even know exist. But then in sports, you find a way to learn about each other. So then when I went from East St. Louis out to Los Angeles, it was like, wow, it's just a wide variety of more people who don't look like me, but yet and still, we all getting along and we all trying to make it work and figure out how do we make it work in the environment that we're in. And so for me, it was never to forget why I had come out there. Never lose sight of my own purpose, because out there, everyone will approach you. Oh, you should be a model. You should be doing this. I'm like, get out of here. I came out here to run some track now. Little country bunk of me. I'm like, because this guy approached me at the gas station and I'm pumping gas my sophomore year. And he was like, oh, gave me his business card. And I was like, yeah, right. I didn't know any better concepts. I told him, I said, hey, I came out here to run track. I didn't come out here to be no model. and the people who I was working with, the school, they checked it out. It was good. But for me, it was very important to fully understand time management, how you prioritize, what's the sacrifices. And I always kept in mind the big picture, what that looks like for me and what I needed to do, and wasn't going to allow anything to distract me from that. And, but that was my attitude.
Now, Jack, I saw you up close. I know you're a phenomenal athlete, but you had to be exceptional because you scored over 1,100 points in basketball. And that's like, now you couldn't have been in the gym all summer long when you're dealing with that track. So was it easy because you were tough or quick, athletic? What made it? I mean, because you won the UCLA's on the women's side, one of the best basketball players as well.
Yeah, I never really thought about what I did. I know I was a defensive specialist. That I love. I love playing defense, and even though if I might steal the ball, then sometimes I outrun the ball. You're going for a fast break. It's easy, and next thing you know, you lose the ball. I'm like, oh God, the worst feeling in the world. But no, I think a lot of it was a combination of my speed, my strength, but then also studying the game. I study my competitors. I study, what I need to do individually and what we needed to do collectively. And the hardest thing sometimes is the communication on the court, because for whatever reason, we don't want to open our mouth, but you got to do that in trying to help. So really being a student of the game, learning it, and then also being able to how we respect each other's space. And understand the discipline of, if you're going to run a play, you got to run the play. If it doesn't work this time, that doesn't mean that you don't continue to run it, because when it comes crunch time, you still got to run that play. Even though you might have somebody that get hot and that's not a part of the play, it's like, yeah, that's good. We won that, but we have to revisit that, because when we get in a crunch situation, if you don't make that, then we're like, oh, why did you take that shot? But that's a part of when coaching comes in. But as teammates, how we talk to each other and things that I had to work on, because leaving high school, we didn't really have weights,
Yes.
So we did a little bit of weightlifting, but we were always told that, oh, if you lift weights for basketball, it's going to throw your shot off.
That's true.
So during the fall months when I was supposed to be in the weight room, we weren't lifting our weights. We just go in there, fill the paper out. And then when I would go to track, I'm telling you, I paid the price at the end of the year, because all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, because you were so afraid you're going to throw your shot off. Just all the myth and all the things that people would tell you.
That is true. I paid for that going to college too, not lifting weights.
Yes.
I mean, Jackie, you 3 gold medals, 6 total medals in all, but Los Angeles, I remember, Seoul, Korea, and I have a story about that too, Barcelona, then Atlanta. And with all your success, but what went through your mind on those days you felt like, man, I just can't go today. My foot might not be right. My knee might be, whatever it is. What went through your mind to keep pushing? What was motivating you?
Conso, it never crossed my mind that I couldn't do it. Even doing toughest days, or because I always would say, no one could outwork me. If I wasn't working, that means someone else was getting ahead. And so my mindset was always about, know your competitor is hurting too. So you got to get up. You got to get up and get the work in. And that my coaches, no one else could want it more than me. So I had to really put in the work. But that was a process though, because I had to learn. Just like when I laugh and joke about, I just wrote down my weights, then wasn't lifting weights because I was afraid it's going to throw my shot off. But then when I went to track and came later on in the year in September, and then I'm pulling a muscle, because I don't have that strength. I don't have that background that I should have been building up back in, October, November, but I'm just going in there, filling out the paper. So when it came down to training, hard days are hard days, and I said to myself, if you want to be the best, you can't sit here and be worrying about everybody else. Focus on what you can control. And what I can control is get my butt up, go do my runs, do what I'm supposed to do, and know that athletes, we don't think injury is a part of the process, but it comes along with the process. That's why you have physical therapists, you have trainers, let them do their job. But in order for them to do their job well and to help you, but you have to do what you're supposed to do. I never, ever try to back out of a workout, a competition, because I felt all these different things are going to make me a much better athlete on and off the field.
Amen. So now, Jackie, you were around a lot of great ones. You were also probably around some that had the potential of greatness. But how did you say no when the party's over here and the drugs, the alcohol, the entertainment over here? How did you say no and go the other way? Was that hard?
It wasn't hard for me to say no to the drugs, the partying, because as a youngster, I saw how drugs really destroyed my family. And you're young, but you hearing your great grandmother and your mom, them, they talking about different things that are happening, and my grandmother Evelyn, who lived in Chicago, and her husband, well, wasn't her husband, but the guy she was seeing, he just came in one night and blew her head off. And all it was because of drugs, and it was like, whoa. And we lived in my great grandmother's home. And we would always sit at the table and we would pray, because Evelyn was her daughter. And she just said, she lived that fast life. I want her to be okay. And then to get that call and to see that, but then just to see it on so many levels that I associated drinking, drugs, all that with something bad happened, because I saw that as a youngster. And so even when I went off to school, you all of us are from different backgrounds, and then everybody that they want to go party. Yeah, you go to the party the first time, then I realized, what, that's not my cup of tea. That's not what I want to do. Even when I was dating this guy, he would drink and then he would want to put his hands on me, and I'm like, hey, no, that ain't gonna be happening. So it always associated with something negative. So that was my motivation to stay away from those things and not to stand in judgment on anyone else. I'm like, if that's what you want to do, no, because I know that in order for me to be at practice at 6 a.m, I cannot be out to 2 o'clock in the morning, and then got to go out there and do a mile time trial or do some kind of workout. And if that made me different from anyone else, I didn't mind being like that, because I was like that way in high school. And then when I went to college, because I had goals, and I was like, whatever's going to interfere with those goals, I'm not going to allow a situation or someone, so that was always my mindset.
And Jack, if I am mistaken, because obviously we watch up close every time in East St. Louis, but I will start with the '88 and just kind of talk about the Seoul Olympics. I remember They got everybody out of class, and we were all in the gym, and it was just kind of like a pep rally. And I thought about it, I was like, we didn't even have a jumbotron. We just celebrated Jackie Joyner-Kersee in the Olympics, but it was a great time. But that's East St. Louis. But also, I think the Atlanta, was that 96?
96, yes.
You either injured your knee or ankle, but you also were dealing with the asthma, but you kept plugging along. Where was that fight from?
Yes.
Why didn't with all your success, why didn't you say, man, I'm good?
Because when I made my first Olympic team in 84, I had a hamstring injury, and I didn't know what was going on, because I had never been injured before. And because my leg was heavily bandaged, in my mind, I said, something must be wrong. And I took that attitude throughout the 2-day heptathlon competition. And in the end, I ended up getting a silver medal, which was okay. But when you can be a gold medalist. So I said, if God blessed me to make another Olympic team, I want to be the toughest athlete out there mentally, because physically I have the ability to do it. And fast forward, going on to 88, then 92, it was like full circle in 96. 96, I get injured, and I'm not able to finish the heptathlon. And we don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything in the long jump, because the leg is so irritated, because now it's my right hamstring. And as I attempt the heptathlon, the rain started coming down, like, oh God, what are you trying to tell me? And so I make it through the hurdles. I have the fastest time. I go to the high jump, but I couldn't push off my the penultimate, the short, long, short. So my my right leg to go into my left takeoff, because I can feel the leg grabbing. So I'm saying to Bobby, who is my coach, my husband, and I told him, I said, okay, I'm going to go try harder. And before I knew, I was walking away from the high jump pit, and I hear this whisper, I'm not going to allow you to do this to yourself. And I'm like, I know I don't hear Bobby, because if he's on the field, I'm going to get disqualified. And so I turned around, and he just embraced me, and he said, no, I'm not going to allow you to do this, because I know you will pull every muscle in your body. Let's let the leg calm down and see, what you can do. You love the long jump. You never had an opportunity just to compete in the long jump. So let's take these next 3 days and see what happened. So the next 3 days roll around. I qualify, get the qualifying jump in the long jump. And then on the next day, the leg is bandaged. Now, mind you, some 15 years prior to that, I would have been so focused on this leg. I'm out there telling myself, you can turn a doubter into a believer. You got this. It comes down, I'm in sixth position. I got the last jump. I remember I'm on that runway. My run is 127 feet, 8 inches. I travel at a speed of 4.64. I see the trees in front of me. I'm looking over the tree branch, and I say, you're going to attack. You're going to hit that board. You're going to hold yourself in the air. And if the leg goes, they're going to send a gurney out there to pick you up. But you're going to give it all you got to give. And that's what I did. I came down there, held myself, and it was 7 meters, right at 23 feet. Bronze medal. Wow. But I went from 6th place to 3rd place, but that's because I was thinking about going for the win. I wasn't just trying to go.
I got to clap for that, Jack. I got to clap for that. I got to clap for that. That's big time. Now, Jackie, but you had,
it was like,
as tough as you were, but you also had a tough coach who was also your husband. How was that dynamic? Oh man, because Roberta and I, we wrestle over sometimes who gonna do the dishes. How you do that?
The great thing about having Bobby, my husband, as my coach was that Bobby is one of the greatest coaches of all time, that a lot of people do not know his credentials. Because not only he coached me, but you're talking about Olympians on top of on top of gold medalists, and we're all training together. So my attitude was that I cannot confuse the coach with the husband.
Yes.
And sometimes I would do that. I come out there with an attitude. It has nothing to do with track. you know, so when we first got married, we had a makeshift garage that we turned into turned that makeshift garage into our office, but we called that the mad room.
Okay.
And so before we were entering into the main part of the house, so whatever misunderstanding, disagreement, it happened in the mad room. You get it all out.
Yes.
But when you came into the main part of the house, that sports we're not even talking about.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Bobby was very good at leaving sports at the track. I want to come home. I want to look at the video. I want to do all this. That's not happening. But, when we would disagree at home, he didn't say, go out there and do 3 miles because I'm upset with him because he's not taking the trash out. But in all honesty, it was a winning combination because of the respect. I respect Bobby as my coach, and he knows me as well as he knew FloJo, Gail Devers, Valerie Briscoe, all the athletes that he's coached. And so when we're out there, we knew that if any of us in the event, the gold medal got to come through one of us. So that alone, I have to respect him, as the coach and allow him to coach me. And then sometimes it was so familiar, but great coaches realize that I know you can do this. So I'm going to go get another coach and have them to tell you the same thing that I've been telling you that is not clicking because,
yes.
And he would do that. When it came down to that, my 800 meters, I worked with Brooks Johnson, who was the coach at Stanford, Sue Humphrey in the high jump. And then I go like, oh, they said this. And he just nodded his head like, yeah, I was telling you that too, but you weren't listening. So but it works.
I like that. So now, Jackie, few get a chance to experience the Olympics. Some get it one time. You had it 4 times. But what was the joy in seeing your brother, Al Joyner, in the Olympics with you? How was that?
Wow. When I think of the joy of both of us making our first Olympic team, and as I was struggling, my brother Al was also out there pushing for me, cheering for me. When it came down for me to run the 800 meters, I'm going to the line, and they're announcing that my brother, Al Joyner, had just won the gold medal in the triple jump. And I was I was so excited for him because as we were coming up, as children, I would always do these foot races, and I would always beat my brother, because he didn't believe in going to practice. I believe in practice, and so he would go and talk to his buddies and tell them, ain't no girl gonna beat me and all this and all that. So we set this match race up right on 14th and Pickett, from the stop sign to the mailbox. Yes. I outrun him to the mailbox, beat him, his buddies, joking and laughing at him and everything. But then in the end, when it came for the big show, Al Joyner, the big brother, beat little sis to the first gold medal in the family. So 1984, yes.
That was powerful.
It was just great. Brother, sister, yes.
And Jackie, that was a real high in your family, East St. Louis, everywhere. I mean, all across the country. But also there was a tough time when Al Joyner's wife, FloJo, Florence Griffith Joyner, passed away, who was your sister-in-law. How did you all deal with that at that time? Because she was at the height of, but also the one thing I remember about FloJo with the nails and the style and the fashion that people are doing today. How was that?
Yes. It's amazing how Florence and I were teammates at UCLA. And I remember going to visit my brother at Arkansas State. And, you always showing pictures. And so I'm showing him the pictures of my different teammates. And then he's pick out Florence. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to marry her. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not even her type. And so fast forward, I had my brother move to Los Angeles in 84. But then as we go through, the 84 Olympics, Florence and I both win silver medals. Then we make our second Olympic team in 88. And then Florence set the world record in the 100 and the 200. And then also she on the relay team. And then, as Florence had always was into fashion, because even like when we were in school at UCLA, we all would wear everything. So we going to, when I say everything, like everything alike. So we going to the national. We all in there. At that time they had them ruffle blouses. We got our ruffle white shirt and our blue jeans. Think we looking cute. And then on the airplane, Florence would be doing all our nails. And I'm telling you, at that time, that stuff was so strong. It was like, and they would tell you, you couldn't do that kind of stuff. But that nail polish smell would go throughout the airplane. And it's a whole team of us. And so then all of a sudden, make the team. Florence and Al, they decided, because they were doing other TV shows and other marketing stuff, and then no longer want to run, and then I remember I'm at home, it's 98, and I get the call, Florence had passed away. Now that was tough to deal with, because prior to that, Florence, they would come back here, because I would do my I was doing some kind of banquet, and Florence had gotten sick on the airplane, and we didn't really pay too much attention to it, but they went back to LA, and at that time just thought it was seizures she would have. So it always surfaced if she got too fatigued. So it was really trying to manage not doing too much, because one thing about once you make the Olympic team, or you have to make the Olympic team, but the demands on your time, and you go in here, and you can't be everything to everybody, but you try, and you end up learning to say no. But then come to find out that evening, Florence had taken my niece to gymnastic practice, and she just said she was tired. Al was downstairs and must have fell asleep on the couch, and then Florence and Mary was upstairs in the bed, and Florence had a seizure and ended up suffocating, because of the way she was laying in the bed. And that was just really, that was sad. And it was tough, because I remember I was here and going through the airport, and you running into people, and people are, they're not aware, because it hadn't been announced that she had passed, and they wanted you to take pictures and sign some autographs. But I'm just really trying to collect myself, me and Bobby, and you try not to say, oh no, I can't at this time, because I'm not really in a good headspace. I'm not, but I'm trying to smile, and I'm trying to, but it was extremely tough, because at that time, we didn't have no social media and any of that kind of stuff, so real great loss, to our family, and my brother, of course, and then, with my niece. And it was the funniest thing, prior to Florence, being called home, that we were doing this big event in Tokyo. And I remember my niece, she didn't like, because Florence had dressed up in this little, one leg outfits and all that. She go, Auntie, I don't want to put these press-on nails on. I said, Mary, just put them on. Because Florence had all decked out, but that was Florence, just a really, really giving individual, and way before her time. I look at all the things that are happening today. It's like, this is nothing new. She set the standard, because when we were coming up, they would tell, oh, we can't wear earrings, we can't do this. It was just so old fashioned, and even if you had lipstick on or look, it was always, you were deemed not being serious or not taken seriously, and it's just a lot of the things that now that I see, what happened. And
I mean, you guys blaze a phenomenal trail. Jack, I just want to tell a story. I remember in 1998, when I was diagnosed with cancer in 97. Then I ran a basketball camp in 98 back in East St. Louis, along with guys that I went to college with, guys I grew up with, and I got in touch with you. And you might have been in California. You just wanted to know the time of day, and you made it there. which I wasn't surprised, but it meant a lot to me because, again, I've always tried to be one not to take for granted the relationship, but you were there, you were present, you communicated with the kids, you even bounced a few balls, and it wasn't as if you said, okay, I signed 2 autographs, I got to go. You were present, and that meant the world to me. And it just, the things that you do with all your success, the things that you do and give back with which the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Foundation, and some would be amazed at the amount of hours you spend with the foundation or in the center. You're actually there. It's not as if you're saying, okay, I'll sign a check, okay, I'm leaving. You live that life, and you've made a lot of sacrifices when you could be all around the world. And I just recently, you were nominated International Hall of Fame in 2023. All these things, and you could just be traveling the globe, but you chose to spend your time in East St. Louis to help your own. What made you just say, I'm committed to doing this? And you've been doing it for 15, 20 years.
Yes. Conzo, I think that I could remember being at that camp, because that's the first time we realized that I guess Eastside didn't have any air. Remember, the air conditioning is like, well, no, they don't have it in the building, and how important it was for people who had, quote unquote, was successful, but came back, made a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I always said that I never wanted to forget. And I just had the utmost respect for you, your family, and your buddies, and whatever I could do.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to be supportive, and I wanted to be in the present. And even with building this center, it was always based off being back in the community so people could connect and relate. And, when you share stories, it's like, I might not walk in your shoes, but I'll walk some of these same pavements.
Yes.
And all I'm trying to help you set goals, and understand that nothing is going to come easy. You're going to have to work hard. And it's tough being back, and dealing with all the things that, you talk about social media, you talk about all these things. But I remind myself, Jackie, focus on what you can control, not worry about the things you cannot. And so being in the present means so much to me, and just being here. And it's a constant reminder is that I can't become complacent. You gotta always remember what you said to yourself when you were younger, Jackie. No one could outwork you, and it's okay when I can't do something. I say, no, it's no. But I think that it's very important that we have a way of inspiring a generation that really might think that, oh, in my case, oh, you too old, you can't relate. Oh, work ethic is work ethic. I don't care how young you are, how old you are. It doesn't change. Goal setting is goal setting.
Yes.
Putting in, determination, grit. If you got it, you got a heart, you willing to lace your shoes up and do the work. So being here, having this foundation, working with the staff and everyone, it really uplifts me. It reminds me, why I do what I do.
Jackie, for me, obviously, I saw a lot of growing up in East St. Louis, and to me, East St. Louis Lincoln basketball was the NBA to me. So you talk about Mark Dell, who's one of my favorite, Todd Porter, Tyrone Jackson, all these guys, phenomenal guys.
Wow.
And for you in track and field, was there a female athlete that blazed a trail dealing with racial tension, adversities, or there's somebody that did you look at and say, I'd love to be that?
Yes. So when you talk about the racial tension, right? So as young people, we were shielded away. We didn't know why we couldn't go into a certain restaurant. Coaches were like, no, we're going to go get the food and we're going to bring it back. Or, we'll go to certain hotels and they already have labeled us as, because you're from East St. Louis, they're going to destroy this and they're going to tear it up. No, we're not going to allow that. But then on a larger scale, being able to see Wilma Rudolph.
Oh, yes.
Have Wilma Rudolph as my mentor. She was a commentator for the 1980s.
She was actually your mentor?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes. Because I'm telling you, now, this is somebody I'm reading about, right? All of a sudden, we're in '84 Olympics. Now, Wilma is a sprinter, but we connected on so many levels because I had read her story, knew about her having polio, not being able to walk, let alone go start walking, running, and becoming the first woman to win 3 Olympic gold medals and 1 Olympiad. Then all of a sudden, she comes back to Tennessee, can't eat at the counter in her own hometown because of the color of her skin. But the world embraced her. She loved all over the world. But when I would sit down and talk with her, she was not bitter at all. And I said, that's how I want to be. I want to see the good in all, but how can you rise above that stigma and that negativity? And how can I continue to pour into others to be able to do the same? And so having Wilma, and we would always have conversations. And I remember we were in, I believe it was Stuttgart, Germany, for the World Championships. I think it was 90, might have been 97. It was somewhere in the 90s. But anyway, my goddaughter is going to this Christian school in California. And they, during that time, used to always come back. What was your summer like? Do a report. They wanted them to do this report on different people. And so we're talking to her. And I said, well, her dad said he wanted her to do it on Wilma Rudolph. And at this time, she's like 12, 13, and she didn't know who that was. So he called me. Tell me the story. I called Wilma. I said, Wilma, I need someone to get a history lesson. Wilma was like, come up to my room. We went up to her room. Wilma gave her a history lesson on who she is. And Rhonda ended up writing a story from the summer. It was really good because she was like, powerful. They had all different people they could select from, but Wilma wasn't on there and thought she should have been. And she was, and the school accepted that.
That's powerful. Wow. Jackie, these are phenomenal stories. Jackie, you wrote a children's book, audio book, and I've listened to it several times. And I've stole it. I shouldn't say stole, but I utilize a few things, and I'm going inspiration.
We family.
Hey, exactly. So it's Jackie's dream box: inspiration, dedication, practice, determination, giving, courage, passion, nutrition, fear, and fun. Now, 3 of them that stood out to me, because I think oftentimes when adversity hit and it starts to storm, most struggle with courage, fear, and the determination to keep going.
Yes. So for me, my biggest, not biggest, but I would say challenge was, how do I recognize why I'm not able to move forward? And the connection was always fear. Fear of something that might have happened when I was in junior high school. Miss Gillespie told us not to, they had these high jump mats out and, like, oh, I could jump over that. She goes to the restroom, told us to sit there, but stubborn me, got up and said, oh, I'm going to jump over this. I jumped over the mat, missed the mat, and fell on the wooden floor. And it hurt my back. And so I developed this attitude that if I'm going to do that high jump, I'm going to make sure that mat is underneath me. I'm literally high jumping like I'm sitting in this chair, not realizing I'm creating a bad habit. Wow. But it was out of fear that I wanted to make sure that mat was underneath me, because what happened to me in junior high school, doing something I wasn't supposed to do, which later on in my career, we had to identify those things, because high jumping is a key event in the heptathlon. I would jump 6 feet just to clear 5'8" because I had poor technique. And it was because of that fear. But then also the determination, and the grit part of it is to never give up. Never give up. When all the odds are against you, you could turn a doubter into a believer because you believe. Because everyone else say you can't. Change that I can't, and I can. And I truly believe that, because for me, it's always about I can. And then we all have the ability to have the courage to speak out against something when we know something is not right, the courage to do something that others say you can't do, the courage to leave home and travel some 3,000 miles away when others said that you're not going to be successful. or the courage just to, be you, stand up and say, this is who I am, and so all those things are very important to me. But as I think about the children book, and as we were doing this, it was, what give you the strength to do the things that you want to do.
And Jackie, you have a wholesome heart, you have a genuine heart, you have a caring heart. You're that type of person. But I'm asking this question because you've been around a lot of athletes and you're still dealing with teen athletes, college, professional. What advice would you give athletes who, like, for example, say if it's a female athlete and she's at the top of her game, but she's just found out she's pregnant, or if it's a female male athlete and they want to come out of the closet and say this, and they want to feel free to talk to somebody. Because I think the biggest thing what most struggle with is trusting somebody to get sound counsel. So what advice would you give them?
You know what? My advice I would give them is, one, you just said the word trust. Find a safe place where, and when I mean safe place could be in the home, or it could be, at the person's in the office, or someone that you can trust and confide in, and know that this is your life. I am here to support whatever decision you're going to make, and know that my feelings towards you and what I think of you is not going to change. But you have to be true to who you are in order for me to rally around you and support you by speaking up and saying that this is what I need to do, this is what I want to do, and all I'm gonna ask, how can I help you? How can I empower you to take the necessary steps to do what you need to do? But then also not only just empower you, but to be there with you on this journey, because people can give you advice, but can I pick up the phone and call you at 4:00 in the morning? Yes, you can do that. I want you to call me. I don't want you to text me. I want to hear your voice, because I want to know if something is not going on, I'm going to pick up on it. And that's very important. I mean, it's really ironic that you bring that up, because I was just talking with one of our athletes and then another young girl who is got all the potential in the world. And her mom was saying she's lacking confidence. But then I talked to her, she go to her meet and she get lifetime best in every event. So I was asking her, what's going on? I said, relish this moment.
Yes.
But then just know the next time you go to the next meet, you might not get a lifetime best. That doesn't mean that you're a failure. It's just that you got to keep working hard,
yes.
And know that, others going to come after you. And even with these lifetime bests, you got to still put in the work. But it starts at the core of who you are. Where your faith is, what you believe in, is not what someone else believes in. It's not what your mom wants, not your dad, your sister, or your brother. If this is something that you really want, then you move forward with it. 8, if you're going to come out the closet and you know that you're worrying about what people are going to say, you can't live in the world of what others expect of you. You can only ask of yourself, this is who I am. And people can either accept that, or if they don't accept it, then they don't need to be in your circle no way. Because all they're going to do is just continue to pour gasoline on it and pull you down. No way of lifting you up.
You're preaching right now. My last question, Jackie, because we can go all day long, is women's rights, Title IX, equality in sports. Where are we today when it comes to women in sports, in your opinion?
Where we are today when it comes for women in sports, I would say we're making progress, but the inequality is still there. I see some of, the pay equity isn't there, and we still have a ways to go. But we are making strides. I look at what's happening with the WNBA, and on the collegiate level, to see one of my good friends, Don Staley, to be one of the highest paid, which is great. But
tough.
That's just, yes. Oh, yeah. But when it comes to Title IX, as well as anything else that we have to keep our eyes and ears and heart open.
Yes.
Because once policies start to change, it's going to impact not just one policy. That's what people want to get you caught up in. Oh, just look at this. No, those policies would change and it'll impact a lot of things that's happened. So keep fighting for our rights, but then keep speaking up and keep teaching a generation that we need each other.
Yes.
You know, we all need each other. We need both men and women. They can't allow us to fight against the men because you guys are support for us as well.
Yes.
We need everyone, you know, and that's very important because you can't be on that island by yourself.
I agree.
But we have to be able to sit across, have conversation. We agree to disagree, but in the end, are we all working towards the same goal? Because we want it better for our great and grandchildren.
That's
you know, and you want them to live in a world of understanding. And because I love social media, I think it's great, but a lot of information on there is misinformation.
Yes.
You know, and that's why books are so important to read. You know, they Google everything, but sometimes they Googling stuff ain't got all the factual information in there correctly.
That's true. Now, Jackie, if somebody wants to reach you, what's your email? Because this will go all over the world. What's the email so they can reach you?
Email jjksmile@aol.com.
So smile like you're smiling. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I like
smile.
that.
Yes.
JJK
I'm
Smile.
an AOL girl. I know.
Okay.
At AOL.com. You know, people
go.
like, oh gosh, what is that?
No, this is beautiful, and for it all counts our family. Jackie's Running with the Gold book, 10 Secret Treasures, and it's in audio, so you can get that. So your kids at night they can listen to it, and it's actually Jackie's voice. It's her voice in, and I think it's beautiful. You can get it however you want to give it. I think it's important. Male or female athletes, male or female youth. So you don't even have to be in sports. It's just a life book. Again, Running for the Gold, 10 Secret Treasures. Jackie Joyner-Kersee, one of the greatest athletes of all time, male or female. It doesn't matter. And again, one of East St. Louis' finest humans, as well as a superior and supreme athlete person. But it all counts, family. This has been a phenomenal show. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And let's continue to grow together. Take care.